Hello, welcome. My name is Joan Owens. Welcome to Aunt Joan's classroom. With me in the classroom today are Ali Sultan and Kelsey Kuno, the production crew. Today, we're going to talk about 5 tips for managing your home environment for optimal learning. Oh, I don't know, Kelsey. I see Catherine, Cassidy, Mary Pat. Hello, friends. I see Chris, Katie, Steve, Leonardo. Welcome, everybody. In the last video, we talked about how we were going to build our community by sharing a lot of ideas with one another about what works best. So some of you have started to do that, and some of you have also sent in what you'd like us to talk about. Mainly, people would like us to talk about some activities that would involve everybody in the family, everyone in their household, without having people in front of screens. People are really concerned about the time they're spending in front of screens these days. So we're going to focus on that. Also, people sent us some pictures. We have some new faces for our wall, which was wonderful. Wonderful way to build community. We had 5 last video, and now we have 8 faces. Today, we're going to talk about 5 tips for improving and managing your home environment for optimal learning. Now, there are hundreds of tips, which many of you will share down below with us. We're just going to take 5 today. The first tip for managing your home environment for optimal learning is to increase your use of nonverbals. This is really a great strategy to learn because so many of us find ourselves repeating things over and over and over to our students. If we just remember to post things so that they can check them off as they do them, or get to know your environment and use nonverbals whenever you can. I've seen this in homes. You might have seen this. Some people will make a square around or a line around their stove if they don't want the children to cross over, or they'll put a little X by the door, so stand there so I know you're ready. I've seen school cafeterias where there are 300 children being managed perfectly just because the staff have posted up signs on what goes where you sit, what the noise level is. There's all kinds of ways to handle nonverbal communication. We can play around with that and teach each other because it's a very effective strategy. The second strategy for managing your environment is to give specific or descriptive praise. It's much more effective to tell someone, anyone, adult or child, what specifically they're doing right. So instead of saying, I like your help with your little brother, you could say something like, it was really nice how you took the time helping Jacob complete the puzzle. He really wouldn't have done it if you hadn't sat by him. So if we make it really specific, that tells us what we need to be doing and how it builds independence in us when we learn exactly what we're doing correctly. The third strategy is one of my favorites. It's effort. Think about in your daily life with your students and your children. I'm just saying, the reason I use the word students is because some of you, I know a 10-year-old who wants to be a teacher. So she's already practicing these skills with her siblings, her younger siblings. So with your students, think about the concept of intelligence over effort. We have found that there have been many, many studies where they'll divide children into groups and they'll give them certain tasks, puzzles for instance. And one group they'll say, oh, you're so smart, that's so great, you're so smart. And the other group, they'll say, you're really working hard, you're sticking with it, you're persevering. And what do you know? When it comes to working further with those children, the children who are given a more difficult task, who were told they're smart, tend to give up very easily. But the children who are told that they persevere, that they stick to it, that they give it their best, that they try really hard, they have a tendency to take more risks in learning. They also have a tendency to take on more challenges. So this has been proven time and time again, and it's really a great thing. When I was growing up, it was either you were smart or you weren't smart. But when we started focusing on effort, I think it really does help the learning experience. The next management strategy is first then. And this started appearing a lot in classrooms with special education children. And then it just sort of was so successful that a lot of teachers started adopting it for their own. And that is the concept of first you do this, then you can do this. Some teachers use yes when. Yes, you can have the popcorn when you clean your room, when you write your letter to grandma. It also can be included in a nonverbal way. So if the student sees this in the morning, that student will know what 3-4 things to do before the reinforcement or before the reward. Try it. Let us know down below what you think. And the last is my favorite for now. There's hundreds of management tips, but I just love this one. And the reason I love it is because it's something I realized on by myself when I visited dozens of homes and sat in dozens of teachers' meetings in both homes and school. And I really have found that it is true that when kids are off in a corner, students are off in a corner, adults are off in a corner, humans are off in a corner, and someone is talking about them, we pay attention to what those people say. And I've had parents sit and say, oh, he's so bad at math because I'm so bad at math, or and the opposite. You know, like he's really learning to get along better with his siblings. We can use this. We don't have to overdo it, but when you find yourself in conversation with a neighbor or a friend on the phone or outside, know that those kids are listening. And what we say doesn't have to be 100% true right now, but it could be something we want to have happen. Like, oh, she's getting so much more confident about her numbers. I notice she's really looking at numbers a lot on the boxes and the cans in the cupboard, and she's paying more attention. She's asking us more questions. And even if it's not 100% true, you watch and you'll find out it soon will become true. So that's it for the 5 management tools today. There's plenty more. Let us know what works for you. Okay, here's your homework, and it's fun. Now, why are we doing this homework? We should always ask ourselves that. We're doing this homework so that we can look at ourselves as teachers and as learners. So what you'll need for this homework is a piece of paper, it can be scrap paper, and a pen or a pencil. And what I want you to do is first think about a time in your life when you learned something new and someone taught you that new thing. I want you to think about someone teaching you a new thing, and it was a positive experience for you. Then write that person's name down. It doesn't have to be a classroom teacher. It can be an uncle, a grandpa, auntie, a mom, a dad, a neighbor, but some teacher, some person who taught you something new. Write that person's name down. Okay, got that person's name down? Now on the other side of the paper, here we have the teacher, and it's positive. On the other side of the paper, write down why you think that teacher was a good teacher for you at that time. What did that teacher do? What did that person do to help you learn? What do you think helped you learn that new thing? And then, when you write that down, you can share it down below. I have done this exercise many times in teachers' workshops, and I always learn something new about what kind of a learner I am, and what kind of a teacher I respond to. But most important for me has been the feedback that everyone else has mentioned. You know, the things that are important to me, I was like, oh, I start seeing, well, maybe the reason Ali and Kelsey learned their new thing was because their teacher had qualities that my teacher. So it's really, this exercise I like to do periodically because it really helps me to understand myself as a teacher. Okay, so in the next video, lesson 2, we will be discussing routines for the learning environment and how you can build the optimal learning environment by establishing routines. Well, one thing I want to talk about is, remember when you used to say, oh, I wish I were in a smaller classroom. And all the parents would say, oh, how big is the classroom? They'd come in every fall, how many kids? And we always wanted small classrooms because children tend to learn when there's not too many people around because there are fewer distractions. Well, this particular community is exactly the opposite, because the more people in our community, the more we'll learn. And so right now we have, I think, 14 subscribers, which we'll call classmates. But just think, if each one of those subscribers shared this video and somebody else subscribed and liked and wrote a comment, we could have so many more people giving us so many more ideas. And I know in my life, I have learned so much from talking to other people about what works and what to do better. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time in lesson 2.
Yay!